nuestra cordera. La galardera, yo corro el lobo de nuestra cordera.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another time traveling adventure. I'm Matt Smith, the time traveling educator, here again with Mission San Luis. So, today our time traveling adventure is going to be all about music. You see, a friend of mine played in a band last night, and I started thinking about the music he was playing and the instruments he was playing it with. And that made me wonder what music was like back in the 17th century. So today we're going to use my trusty time portal here to go back to Mission San Luis, a community that was here over 350 years ago where the Apalachee Indians and the Spanish lived together. And I want you to come with me. So, come on through, let's go. Here we are at the council house. You see, Native people created some of the earliest forms of musical instruments here in North America. Anything that makes a sound, whether it clicks, clacks, rattles, thumps, or rings, can be turned into an instrument for making musical rhythm. Rhythm is the repeating pattern of beats that you can dance to. In certain social settings, music can unite a community, like my friend's concert.
Oh, hello, sir. Buenas tardes. Welcome to the council house. My name is Jupiter F1. What about yours?
My name is Matt. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. What about you, sir?
Doing wonderful.
Nice to meet you. If you had come for the ball game festival, you're a little bit too early. In my case, I came here early because I need to practice with the bells, with the rattles, and also with the drums.
Oh, well, I mean, I'd love to learn more about music while we wait.
Certainly. Music is an important part of the Apalachee and the Spanish culture. It is good for your heart, and it makes people happy.
So, what type of musical instruments do the Apalachee use?
Well, the Apalachee, they are very clever and resourceful people. They can use many things around them to make instruments. For example, this is a gourd. The Apalachee use them to make a rattling sound. This is a type of plant that has been dried out, and the seeds are inside, which makes the noises. And it's very important to make a beat to dance to. So what could you use to make shakers and clackers? Well, the Apalachee use ear hoops like this one in here, and also shells. So, Apalachee people also use turtle shells like this one in here. What can you do with an empty turtle shell? Well, some people add things inside a turtle shell so they can make a sound. Other people, for example, they use a stick. So, bam, you have a drum. The Apalachee people also use deer skins to make instruments. You wonder how? Well, they use a soft part of the skin, like this one in here. They stretch them, and they let them dry. And the final product will be this one in here, a dried deer skin, which you can put it on top of a wooden frame, and you can make a drum. As you can see, they use all these things to make a rhythmic sound and beat.
Wow, the Apalachee sure were in tune with how to make music. So many southeastern tribes use very similar items to make music. Some even use those same items to make music nowadays. So when the Spanish and the Apalachee started trading, the Spanish introduced them to these small metal bells. And these small metal bells quickly became part of the Apalachee musical culture.
Culture and tradition are very important to the Apalachee people, and music helps them carry those traditions. One important tradition that the Apalachee have, it's called the ball game. So the ball game, it is played as a way to show the strength of the warriors in the village.
So what role does music have in the ball game?
Well, I'm pretty sure that in your village, music plays a big role getting people ready for the game. It is not different for the Apalachee, but except this game involves a lot of ritual and ceremony before it is played.
Songs and performance that gets everyone ready for a game. Oh, that reminds me of the band playing and cheering right before a football game. While not exactly the same thing, music like that isn't just for show. It builds a sense of bonding and community with both the players and the audience. Now let's keep listening about this ball game. So tell me more about the Apalachee ball game.
Sure, hold on. So, the game, it takes place in the central plaza between the council house and the church. The object is to hit a pole in the center of the plaza with a small clay ball like this one in here, which is covered in deer hide. The party begins with a musical challenge carried by a special messenger to a neighboring village. So as part of the ritual, the messenger dresses up as a raccoon, or in Apalachee language, tasawi, and he wears rattles and bells like this one in here, so he makes noises when he walks. Now, if the other village accepts the challenge, he returns home dancing and making all kinds of sounds. If the challenge is accepted and the messenger returns to the village is going to prepare for the game with a huge celebration with a lot of noise making. Now, if the challenge is not accepted, the messenger returns in complete silence.
Well, this is a very fun way to start a game. Music and a dancing raccoon. So what can we learn about the Apalachee use of music? Well, we know that they use music not only for ceremonies, but also to communicate with other villages. Nowadays, if we want to listen to music, it's as easy as pressing a button sometimes. Music in the past, in the 17th century, usually had a whole village getting together to make some wonderful music. Now that we know about the music that the Apalachee used, let's go and learn a little bit about what type of music the Spanish introduced. So when the Spanish arrived, they introduced the Apalachee to Catholic music. Now, one very important part about music in the Catholic Church is singing. Now, before the arrival of the Spanish, the Apalachee used and learned a type of singing called call and response. That's when one person would sing part of a song, and then the rest would sing it back to them. That way they could learn the song and also practice at the same time. Now, this might have been a very important part of the friars teaching the Apalachee how to sing hymns in the Catholic Church. So, how did the Catholic Church teach and perform music with the village?
Well, the church has different ways of performing music. The friars can teach people how to sing using a method that we call the guidoni hymn. Now, this method is very old, but it teaches people who couldn't read how to sing. So simply put your hand like this, and each part of the hand represents different notes. By pointing to those different points of the hand, a choir can be taught how to sing. Now, what language do you think Apalachee and Spanish are going to be using in order to sing?
Latin?
That's right, Latin. Well, we don't speak Latin to each other. Latin is the language of the church, and so all of our hymns are sung in Latin. There's more to Spanish church music than singing. Some mission churches use handbells, which accompany the choir or can be used in other parts of the service.
The handbells are from Spain, so they are different from what the Apalachee are used to. These bells have different pitches and tones that create harmonies when played together. So pitch can be considered high or low. A big drum like the ones that the Apalachee made out of deerskin would have a low pitch, while a fife played by a Spaniard would have a high pitch. So most musical instruments and types of singing use different pitches to make melodies and songs, but there are actually some instruments that are considered to not have pitch, and yet they are used to make wonderful music. Some examples of these unpitched instruments would be the Apalachee gourd shakers and the snare drum. So the Apalachee enjoyed the bells brought over by the Spanish so much that they began to trade for them and introduce them into their own traditional music. So think of modern music. We can have two different genres that can come together to make a new type of music. So think of blues and jazz coming together to make rock and roll. So the Apalachee and the Spanish musical trade was much the same.
Handbells are not the only musical instruments that the Spanish brought to this new world. Some of the largest instruments that the Spanish brought were the church bells. These bells are very important to the church. Even the king paid for some of them. They are rung to let the village know what time of the day it is, and also they're used to let us know when to come to church on Sundays.
Wow, no church was complete without a bell.
The Spanish also brought pipe organs to St. Augustine, as well as military instruments such as fifes, drums, and bugles, like this one in here. The pipe organs are found in church, of course, but the military instruments are used to organize and train soldiers. Drums, bugles, and fifes are used to communicate information to soldiers whenever they are in a fort, on march, or in battle. So let me show you the Spanish drums. By playing different beats, the soldiers know to take a step each time the drum is hit, keeping them moving at the same speed. That's cool, isn't it? Now the bugle here can be played loudly. That way you can hear it in the distance and over other sounds. Matt, would you like to try it?
I'll give it my best shot.
Go ahead. That was awesome. Thank you. These are just some of the instruments that the Spanish brought from Europe. They also brought many different types of string and wind instruments. A wind instrument means that you blow into or across the instrument, like the bugle in here that Matt just played a couple of seconds ago. So in a short time, there were all kinds of ways to make music in Florida. So Matt, do you have music in your home? How does it make you feel? Do you have dances and dancing in your village too?
Yeah, I mean, of course I've got music in my home all the time. I mean, music makes me feel all different types of things. And yeah, we have lots of different dances.
Oh, that's awesome. Music really ties the community together and reminds us that even though we might be different people, we will always have something in common. Well, Matt, it was a pleasure. I had to get back to my practice and get ready for the festival. I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you for showing me around.
Not a problem. I'll see you. Adios.
Adios.